enable okay, end or exit. Tell me I have copied the configuration, but still I don't see the green lights. That means the link is not in the operational mode yet. Who can tell me what is the reason? Did we do any mistake with the IP addressing scheme? Did we do any mistake with choosing the interfaces? What's missing over here? What's missing from the configuration of this router, okay, for making this router operational? Here is the DCE and the clock rate. Don't forget that this router is a DTE and this router is DCE. I copied the configuration of the DTE respecting the IP addressing and the interface port number without respecting the DCE. Okay, Dr. Matthew? So, okay, so what I need to do is to go to the interface serial 000 and configure clock rate. Okay, Dr. Hussein, can you help us? What was the comment for the clock rate? Dr. Hussein, are you trying to say something because we can't hear you? No, you are close. Yeah, clock rate. Because the clock set is the one used for setting the clock and the timer on the router. Okay, so the clock rate was 6,000 for 64,000. Okay, so exit. See, it takes gonna take effect shortly. I guess one more thing to add over here is the no shutdown command, because the no shutdown command didn't come from the original file. Okay, so we'll go back again to the interface and no shutdown. Okay, it changed the state to up and it's currently in effect. See, it's green instead of red. Great. Any question? Okay, great. Fine. Okay, so this is a way of importing your files into a text configuration file into a text file. Okay, here is the explanation about the question Dr. Hussein asked earlier. Interface, the type, and then you put the slot and the sub slot and the port number. So we are quite familiar with the ping command and the loopback address. As we mentioned earlier, 127.0.0.1 was reserved for a loopback. Loopback address mainly used for testing your TCP IP stack on your operating system. Let's say, for example, that you wish to know whether TCP IP stack is installed on your Windows. All what you need to do is to issue the ping 127.0.0.1 and you should get an answer. Okay, if you have a problem with the connectivity, you should get an answer like this. If you have a problem with your connectivity and you issue the ping 127.0.0.1 after issuing all the other testing comments, and the ping doesn't work for your loopback address, that means there is something wrong with TCP IP stack. It can be solved by reinstalling your TCP IP stack or by formatting your Windows and installing new Windows. Okay, now let's get familiar with some protocols, okay, or some configuration, some testing protocols. Okay, one of the show comments, very helpful and handy show comments to see the status, to see the status of your configured interfaces and see the status of your interfaces, whether they are up or down. The other way to do it is by showing issuing the command show IP interface brief. Okay, I'll come back to my simulator. Cisco. Okay, enable Zayed 123. Okay, conf tur. I don't need actually to go to the global configuration mode for showing for issuing the show command, so I need to roll back one step. Okay, all I need to do over here is to show IP interface brief. So briefly shows you the configurations of this interface. Okay, now it tells you that for the first Ethernet 0/0 it's unassigned, and truly we haven't assigned anything. The only interface we worked with was this one, the serial 010. This is the IP address of that interface, and this is the status of that interface. So this interface is up, okay, and everything is up. Fine, that means this interface is operational and currently sending and receiving information whenever it's needed. Fine. Okay, now we're familiar with the ping command, we're familiar with the tracert command and the traceroute command, so we're not gonna waste time on them. Okay, let's see over here. What other tools, commands we can introduce? We're familiar with this part, the eCarply and the process of the pinging a remote station. Okay, traceroute, as we said, we use it as traceroute in Cisco environment. Fine. This is a way of copying the output of your CLI mode, your CMD mode, okay, and saving it into a text file, okay, for troubleshooting purposes. The same thing, we saw how did we capture the screen from the hyper terminal. The same way we do it over here. Okay, now let me explain what is the ARP. ARP stands for the Address Resolution Protocol. Address Resolution Protocols helps you in finding, okay, in finding your MAC address. Let's say, okay, in general, as a general definition, these commands provide a mapping, okay, of your MAC address to your IP address. Okay, so let's say that you wish to see the ARP table. By the way, the ARP process is done by the routers and the switches. Whenever they need your addresses, both addresses to be provided, this ARP request is gonna, or ARP session, ARP message is gonna be sent. Now we're going to study the configuration of ARP and the job of ARP in details inshallah soon. Okay, so let's see over here the ARP table for my computer. Okay, I don't think that I will have that much big table for my computer, so I go to CMD. Okay, we have to issue the ARP. Okay, so it's a kind of list for mapping the MAC address to associated IP address. Okay, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now coming to the switch, let me connect to a switch. Okay, and let me see what configuration options do I have for the switch, although it's a bit early to work with switches. Okay, I'm going to use the switch. Let me see what interfaces are available on this switch. It's just like the one we have it in the old bundle. Okay, and I'm going to establish a connection the same way I did earlier. Okay, this is the hyper terminal. Fine. Switch enable. Okay,